What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. My name's Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and once in a while I'll throw in other whiskey-related content. Today we're going to be doing a list. I want to go through 7 whiskey brands that I think are going to become more popular. Stick around. Alright, so this is a fun one. This is a list of whiskey brands that I think are on the up and up. These are brands that I feel have a great future, or a bright future, at least from a 2022 standpoint. And I should clarify that all the brands on this list are established brands that are starting to pick up steam. Now, when I say established, that means I'm not including any brand new distilleries. I'm including distilleries that have been around for a little while. You know, I could include stuff like Ardnamurchan or Raasay or Lag, but these are all brand new companies, brand new distilleries. So unless they're putting out absolute garbage, which they aren't, of course they're on the up and up. So instead, it's going to be brands that have been around, but just seem to be getting it right these days. And, you know, had I made this list about 5 or 10 years ago, we'd be looking at brands like Arran or Tobermory, Tamdhu, Glen Scotia, and of course, all of them have now graduated to being major players on the whiskey scene. But today's list is going to be brands that are not household names yet. Now, of course, if you're deep into the whiskey scene like we are, you'll probably know some, if not all, of these brands, but they're all brands that are maybe doing something better these days. Or maybe they aren't. Maybe nothing's changed. Maybe these brands are just getting recognized more now, even if the quality's been around for some time. Whatever the case, all of these are brands that were not very big before. They're getting bigger now, and I think they're going to continue to do so into the future. Now, is this totally arbitrary criteria for a list? Absolutely. Is it 100% my opinion? Yes. Should you yell at me down in the comments if you disagree? Also, yes, this is YouTube. I need the engagement. Just try and be gentle. I'm a sensitive boy. Of course, there are going to be some brands that I don't know very much about. A good example of that would be Speyburn. I've been hearing a lot about their stuff these days. I've yet to try them. I've been looking around for the 15. Haven't been able to find it. When I do, I'll definitely review it. But point is, there's going to be stuff that gets left out. And that's where you guys come in. Anything I've missed, feel free to let me know what it is down in the comments. Also, I've got a mystery pour in my glass here. It's another great whiskey that I think is only going to grow in popularity. So make sure you stick around after the list. I'll let you know what that is. And I guess that's it. So let's not waste time. Let's jump into our list. Here are 7 whiskeys that I think are on the up and up. Alright, so for my number 7, we've got a brand that was bought out by Brown-Forman a few years back. It's the sister distillery of some big players like Benriach and Glendronach, but this one is very much the bastard stepchild of the family. I'm talking about Glenglassaugh. So this brand was mothballed in 1986. It stayed that way until 2008, and nowadays in 2022, we're starting to see some of their newer whiskeys really come into their own. And rumor has it that very soon we'll be seeing an age-stated line from them, and with that we can expect some rebranding as well. Now, if you're someone like me who tried them a while back, years ago, and you kind of wrote them off, I would suggest coming back to them now. Look for some newer releases. I recently tried the Evolution from, I think, this year or last year. My Torfa here is from 2021. And speaking broadly, their whiskeys are in a better place now. Now, they're not mind-blowing, but they are better. And with the upcoming age statements, I'm sure they're going to continue to improve. It does seem like they're finally starting to give this brand the attention and the tender love and care that it really needs. So yeah, of course, time will tell, but we do have some big changes coming, and hopefully that will lead the brand into some more interesting directions moving forward. My number 7, Glenglassaugh. So for my number 6 pick, this is one I actually have kind of mixed feelings about. It's a Bacardi-owned brand. It's recently been revamped. Nowadays, everything they put out is going to be age-stated, it's going to be craft-presented, and of course, it's always nice to see a brand go in that direction. I'm talking about Royal Bracla. I reviewed the 12 a while back. I loved it. It's fantastic whiskey, especially if you like your sherry bombs, and I do. Now, I will admit I was a little bit underwhelmed with their 18-year-old that I've got here. It's decent stuff, but it's overpriced, and it's honestly just okay. But the 12-year-old is fantastic. What I'd like to see from them is more affordable options down the line. Maybe they could give us a nice 15-year-old. I'd settle for some special releases. Whatever. The point is, they're craft, they're age-stated nowadays, and the 12 in particular, as I said, great big sherry banger. So if you're a fan of stuff like Glendronach's or Glenallechy's, try the Royal Bracla 12. Now, the only reason that I put them lower on the list is because their pricing is ambitious, and I don't love that, and I think it might be a hindrance for them moving forward. I would suggest lowering your prices a little bit, but who am I to say? Number 6, Royal Bracla. All right, so my number 5 is one that honestly I wasn't sure I would include on this list. It is a very low-key whiskey, but it has been picking up a bit of steam. It's been making some noise lately, and it is good stuff, but yeah, just really low-key. Now, some people absolutely love it. Others are kind of neutral towards it. Personally, I do like this stuff. I'm talking about Altmore. This is another Bacardi brand, and it's one that can be a tough sell for some people. Now, for some people, they're not fans of it because they think it's too easy, it's too accessible. There's no challenges here, there's no quirks, there's no rough edges, there's no real hooks to it. Oppositely, you're going to have people who absolutely love this stuff. They'll say this is the epitome of a craft-friendly, traditional Speyside character, and it is that. For someone like me, I do enjoy this whiskey. I can identify with those who don't because, yes, I do sometimes wish this had more pop to it, but it's still really good. But I am happy to see them getting more attention nowadays. It is solid whiskey. And the funny thing is, I don't think much has changed about this line since it first came out in like 2014 or 15, something like that. But it's just like nowadays it seems to be coming out of relative obscurity. The whiskey world is slowly waking up to Altmore. Better late than never. And you know what? Good for them. So number 5, Altmore. So my number 4 pick is definitely not coming out of obscurity. It's already a big player. It's already a big boy on the whiskey scene. A lot of their whiskeys are already overpriced and overhyped. Their 12 is a big hit. The brand I've got here is Glenallachie. So yeah, already a big whiskey, but the reason I put them on this list is because I think they're only going to get bigger. Because just 5 years after the brand was bought out by new owners, including the legend that is Billy Walker, they're already a huge hit in the whiskey world. Ever since they bought the distillery in 2017, Billy Walker & Co. have been exerting their influence over the whiskey. It is important to note that the whiskey they're putting out now and the stuff they'll continue to put out over the next few years is the stock that was distilled by the previous owners. But as time marches on, they'll have had more time to work with it, to tinker with it, improve upon it, etc. And eventually, towards the end of the decade, we'll be able to taste the stuff that these guys actually distilled themselves. But for now, listen, the brand is already a huge hit. It's evolving. It will continue to evolve. Stuff like their 10-year-old cast strength is already overhyped and overpriced. The 12 is a big hit. It's generally affordable. It's always craft presented. So they're just going to keep getting bigger. So my number 4 is Glenallachie. My number 3 pick is one that's near and dear to my heart. This is an interesting, challenging, characterful whiskey. Their entry-level expression was my whiskey of the year last year. The brand I've got here is Craigellachie. The 13 is brilliant, the 17 is brilliant, the 13 at least is affordable. Everything they put out is craft presented, and these are whiskeys with like balls. They have some rough edges, some challenging aspects, which is the kind of thing that us whiskey nerds just love. And the brand has really taken off over the last year or so. Now, I like to tell people that I had something to do with that, but that's probably nonsense. The whiskey's just that good. But yeah, they're really picking up steam. They're very fashionable these days. I think they're going to continue to grow, and they deserve it. It's a really interesting whiskey, and it's not going to be for everyone, but a lot of people out there, a lot of whiskey people out there really love this stuff. I certainly do. So my number 3 pick, Craigellachie. So number 2 is a cool one, and I think a lot of you will not have seen this one coming. It's recently been revamped, and I don't think it's picked up a lot of steam yet. The hype has yet to really hit, but I do think it's a matter of time. As with several other whiskeys on this list, these guys have traditionally been like blend filler. You can find IBs out there of them, but they haven't been a big brand. No one talked about them. No one really cared about them, but they've recently upped their game, and nowadays they're putting out legitimately interesting single malts. I've got Fitter Cairn here. These guys put out their first release of the 16-year-old in 2020. That one was a chocolate malt. It was matured in bourbon, port, and sherry casks. The good bottles were good, although there were some lesser ones out there. Interesting stuff. The bottle I've got here is their second release from 2021. This one I think was finished in Palo Cortado sherry casks, so they kind of mix it up every year. The 16 is an interesting one to look out for. They've also got a 12-year-old. That one's okay. They have some warehouse releases that are affordable and very well received. I have yet to try one. They have some older stuff out there as well. I can't afford that, so we're not going to touch on it. But yeah, they are putting out some cool stuff nowadays. And what's nice is they tend to have a bit of an experimental angle as well. So the quality is there. Clearly an effort was made by the brand to become a major player in the whiskey scene. I don't think they're getting too much hype yet, but I think it's a matter of time before we see them take off. So my number 2 pick is Fetter Cairn. All right, so we've made it to my number 1. This is a brand that I think a lot of you whiskey nerds will already know, but I think a lot of casual drinkers and obviously non-whiskey people will not have heard of them. It's definitely not a household name, but I think it might be someday. They're putting out really interesting whiskey. I've got Bladnoch here. This one here is their 11-year-old from 2021. I think they've since put out another 11-year-old for 2022. Before that, it was a 10-year-old. They have some no age stated stuff out there. They have some older stuff out there. A lot of it can be a little bit expensive, especially here in Taiwan, but really cool whiskey. And these guys, along with other brands like Daft Mill, seem to be redefining lowland whiskey these days. Now, it was once considered one of Scotland's less interesting whiskey producing regions, but it seems to be undergoing a bit of a renaissance at the moment, and brands like Bladnoch are kind of leading the way there. It's craft presented, it's extremely characterful, and it's genuinely delicious. So watch out for these guys. Number 1, Bladnoch. All right, that's it. That's the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep in mind, all of this is just my opinion, and I do want to hear your opinion. What are some brands out there, some established brands, maybe brands that were kind of obscure before, and nowadays we're starting to see them step into the light? Maybe they've revamped their formulas, maybe they switched things up a little bit. Whatever the case, what are some brands that you think have a very bright future? Also, I know some of you stuck around to find out what mystery pour is in my glass here. Now, this is another whiskey a little bit like Glenallachie in the sense that it's already very big. It's a big hit. This is a whiskey that people absolutely flock to when it's actually in stock, which it isn't always. The whiskey I've got here is Costco or Kirkland. Now, there are several of these releases out there. They can come in at different age statements. They may come from one or multiple undisclosed distilleries. Theories abound on what they are. Regardless, they have 3 things that us whiskey lovers absolutely adore. Number 1 is price. These are affordable whiskeys. Number 2 is they're genuinely delicious. And number 3, we have a high age statement. Number 3 kind of ties into number 1 because there's plenty of older whiskeys out there that are just outside of our budgets. These are high age statement whiskeys that are affordable, and that just doesn't happen anymore. And the thing is, with standard single malts getting so expensive these days, I think more and more people will be looking to alternatives like this. Yes, we don't know where it comes from, but it's got so many of the things we're looking for, and again, a high age statement at an affordable price, just not something you see anymore. So listen, they're already huge sellers, but Costco whiskeys I think are just going to get more and more popular. And I guess that's it for me today, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Of course, I do want to hear from you. What brands do you think are on the up and up? What did I miss on my list? Let me know down below in the comments. And finally, we can do the like, comment, and subscribe thing. Also, give me all of your money on Patreon. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.